Hey guys, it's Will. Today I'm going to do a video on cryptocurrencies, and for that I'm going to use TradingView. So if you want to check out the link to what you can get for TradingView, if you want to get a membership, check out the link. And the membership gives you access to things like a lot more watch lists and alerts. And one of the things I liked is the indicators, so I can put more indicators on there. And I'll show you why I have more watch lists in this video. But what I'm going to mostly look at is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'll show you why and the relative strengths of all the other cryptos. So actually, why don't we go to that right now? So I've got another tab open here, and that is the screener section for cryptos. So you can see I've got 3 cryptos in this that are showing up. And what that is ones that are strong in relation to Bitcoin and to some extent. What I use is a weekly chart, so it's a bit longer. It's not just a short-term blip. And the filter, the scan like kind of thing I'm using is that we're above the 50-day moving average. The MACD has crossed, and the 20 is above the 50. The 20 exponential is above the 50. And there's only these 3, Monero, BNB, and FTT. So on that's the screener. So on the next tab, I've got another, which is the charts. And you can see up here, I have the BTC comparison. So when you instead of putting in like, let's say Ethereum USD for US dollar, I put in this watch list, I have everything in relation to Bitcoin. So I'm relating all the prices in terms of Bitcoin. And you can see that in Binance, we've hit the top again, and we've hit the top the 3rd time. So it's potential that this could break out. We are in an uptrend here. We have a higher low here compared to over here, but it's been pretty flat. And so we're not quite there yet, but we're above the 50, and the 20, like here you can see, is above the 50. Monero is the other one. And in this case, the 200 is still below the 200, but the 50 is. So you could add another criteria. The 50 should be above the 200. You wouldn't get this one. There's a fair amount of resistance here. And then the other one was FTT. And this one looks probably the best in terms of the relative strength. We can see we're in a really nice uptrend. There's been a couple of weeks of this pullback here, but we're still. So those are the, if you're going to trade other ones, or buy other ones, ideally you want them to be stronger. Most of the cryptos don't do well over a long period of time compared to Bitcoin. So from there, you could determine, then you would look at the actual chart for, let's say BNB. In terms of the, it's US dollar. And you can see that we've had this uptrend here. So once you saw yesterday, we broke this pullback. So what I'll do is I'll usually draw a line. If I start to see, like a trend that's in an uptrend, I see a pullback, and then you'd want to wait for some sort of strong signal. So you see how the volume was higher as well on that one than this previous one. So we had a downtrending volume. I can draw a line on there as well. A lot of times on pullbacks, you'll see declining volume, which kind of implies that it's not a big deal. It's not a big pullback. And then when you see a spike, you can see here we had an increase in volume on this up bar, and that's what you want to see. So that's a good sign that they're probably going to go. And you can do that with the other ones that I mentioned, but if we look at Bitcoin right now, I'll click on that chart. It's a similar situation. We just crossed above the 50, which is sloping down still, and the 200 is way up there. So you're in a really, you're in a downtrend, and it's not a great situation. But in terms of value, trying to buy a really low spot, that is a sign. I can turn off the drawings here just so you can see that we pulled back and we bounced right at the 50. So that's a good point. The other thing is you have the 200 there. So the target would be hitting the 200, which is quite a ways away. There's other resistance up here, obviously at 28-ish area. Ethereum, same sort of thing. You've got this uptrend, higher low right there. This is kind of a Morningstar pattern. You have down candle, a doji, and then a big up candle. So that's kind of a strong candle pattern. You know, obviously there's risks with the Fed and interest rates and all that stuff. The US dollar goes up and the crypto tends to go down. But these other two are just kind of, I put them in there because there was a lot of issues with the stable coins. And I was wanting to make sure they don't go down below 0, or below 1 very much. PAXG, the only reason I put that in there, it's kind of a gold. It's like it follows the gold price. So you could potentially put your money there if you wanted, if you're afraid of the stable coin that you're in. You know, there's this doesn't go up or down. It might go down more than, you know, than some things, but it's fairly stable. But it's also interesting because we're at a point where it's starting to come back. But you can buy the actual gold, you know, itself, or the paper ETFs and whatever. But those are the only ones that I'm looking at. The other thing is, if you switch to the weekly chart, I'll go back to Bitcoin. We're not quite out of the woods, like I mentioned. It shows up nicely, and we did have a little bit of a bounce after the 200 week. And you can see how, you know, the candles are heading up here. We haven't quite crossed the momentum, the MACD, but you can see we're in a very low stochastic area, like an oversold sort of situation. Doesn't mean, like here we had an oversold situation. Eventually it did come down even lower than that, and we're back in this, but it's uptrending. And but you know, it is early in the game. But if people want to buy and try to hope that 20,000 or whatever is the low, but if you break that spot, you know, you're probably going down to 12,000. You can see how we had strong support around 12,000. So, you know, that remains to be seen. But like this 50 days heading down, this is a really bad, steep downtrending 17 moving average here. The reason I have that on there is it's a group of moving averages from an indicator that I added. So it has a whole bunch of moving averages, 3 moving averages, or 4 moving averages actually in one indicator. No, let's see, 17. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, we're not in a great situation. So this is something that, if you really like it and you think it, you know, it's really down low, but it is still in a risky situation. So hope that helps. So basically what I have here, you can create a new list. You've got your watch list. There's only so many you can do with the free offering of TradingView. So I had free for a while, but then I started realizing I needed these multiple lists. I've also got I don't talk about this as much on the other channel, but I have these ratio charts. So I have a whole bunch of watch lists. This watch list is a ratio chart comparing everything to the NASDAQ, which is usually the strongest one over time. And also recently, because of the energy and the natural gas, I compare a lot of things to energy and natural gas as well. So, and if you're looking at like a sort of let's say a REIT or some sort of healthcare, whatever it is, there's different ones, and you want to see which ones are the strongest over time. So like even with ARK, I'll compare ARK to NASDAQ, and you're starting to see a little bit of a pull, you know, a little bit of a surge in, you've had a couple of them, but ARK, you know, will tend to beat NASDAQ over time. This is a graph between ARK and NASDAQ. So during this big, huge run, you'd want to be in ARK instead of NASDAQ because you have this huge, and this is a weekly chart. So I'm not trying to just do little blips. I'm trying to say, if we're above the 50 week and the 50 is above the 200, and even the 17 moving average, you've got this huge, and you can see here how much downtrend we're in. So you know, if you're going to choose, you don't want to be in ARK, you'd want to be in the NASDAQ if you had to choose a relative situation. So even when something's going up, it might mean that it's going down less than the other thing you're comparing to, but it just shows the relative strength of the two things. TAN, I mentioned in this other video for stocks, you can see TAN is now beating the NASDAQ. It's above the 50, and the 50 is above the 200. So if you had to choose, you know, or you want to put your money in stronger things, you know, relative charts are really important. So one of the key reasons that I use TradingView for some stock stuff and for some crypto stuff is relative strength charts are really nice and really easy. You can do it in TC2000, not quite the same as this. I've shown that. I've got a chart at the bottom, which is always the relative strength compared to the NASDAQ or whatever I'm looking at. But this is a really easy way where you just divide one by the other. And then the other thing, like I said, is more alerts, more watch lists, and more indicators. That's important to me. If you're trading, you want to have the right tools. You don't want to be always limited to what you can put on the chart and deleting things. And there were ads popping up, I think, as well. So if you want to get a subscription to TradingView, you can get a bit of a discount. Check out the link in the description below this video. Talk to you guys later.